Okay, let's play some god fucking damn unholy ghost fuck shit.
Translation that was made from the original Hebrew
goddamn
Greek,
son of a
not
goddamn
simply
bitch.
from the Latin Vulgate. He was trained in Greek, as most people were at that time, starting soon before that at Oxford. So he could read Greek well, and he picked up Hebrew as well, and so he started translating the Bible. He translated the entire New Testament, and in the process of doing this, he knew he wouldn't be welcomed in England, so he actually had to go to Germany to do it.
Suck my shit.
And he translated the New Testament. He ended up being betrayed and thrown in jail. He translated the first 5 books of the Old Testament, the Pentateuch, and in jail he translated Joshua to 2nd Chronicles. So he translated about half of the Hebrew Bible. But he ended up, as I said, being betrayed. He was in jail. They ended up executing him for violating this law of 1408, and so he was burned at the stake.
You suck my dick.
In 1536. And so that's what happened to the first Bible.
Suck my slut.
After Tyndale, what a lot of people don't realize is that the King James Version was not the first English translation. Tyndale's was, and it wasn't the first one after Tyndale.
Move, you fucking
There were a
whore.
number of translations that were done. There were 7 major translations after Tyndale, but the most
Fucking
important ones
stupid
were
fucking
one by
cunt.
a companion of his, Miles Coverdale, who did a translation in 1535 that was, in fact, accepted in England, even though Tyndale ended up being executed the next year for doing exactly the same thing. The Great Bible, that was also done by this guy, Miles Coverdale. And these are entire Bibles, so Tyndale didn't get through the entire Bible because he got killed first, but these are entire Bibles. The Great Bible is called the Great Bible not because everybody thought it was so great, but because it was enormous. And so it was designed for churches, so you'd have a big Bible up there in church so people could read it. There's a Bible called the Geneva Bible in 1560, which was it's called the Geneva Bible because Protestants who were in exile from England had gone to Geneva, and they decided they wanted to do a new translation of the Bible. And they did this translation in which they put a lot of marginal notes where they lambasted the Catholic Church. These were Protestants who really didn't like the Catholic Church, and among other things, they had marginal notes that indicated that the Roman Catholic Pope was the Antichrist of 666 of the Book of Revelation, and other things that didn't make them very popular with their Catholic friends and neighbors. Finally, there was a Bishop's Bible done in 1568 by a group of bishops. These 2 Bibles here, the Geneva Bible and the Bishop's Bible,
suck my motherfucking goddamn slut.
Today, almost all Bible translations are done by committee, and there are different opinions about that, about whether that's a good thing or not. Some people think that really what a better thing is to have somebody's individual genius come through in a translation, and other people think that it's better to have a committee because that way you can sort of get rid of the idiosyncrasies of any particular translator. But sometimes translation by committee doesn't go so well because it's like writing a memo by committee. You get the kind of the lowest common denominator. It's not so good. Well, the thing about all of these Bibles is that even though they're separate translations, all of them were heavily dependent on Tyndale's translation. And that, of course, that is what we're going to see with the King James Bible as well. So let me say something about where the King James Bible came from. King James became the king of England.
King James was a dickhole.
In the early 17th century. He had been the king of Scotland.
The king of Scotland.
He was related by blood to Queen Elizabeth, and he became the king. And one of the big problems that Elizabeth had faced during her reign was that the Puritans in the English church didn't like very well the established church. That they thought that the established church with its bishops and its ceremonies and its rituals were not really what religion was supposed to be all about. And so Puritans were sort of like really hyper Protestants. And in the Church of England, you also had people who were very traditional. And the Puritans and the traditionalists were at each other's throats. And so King James, who was concerned about such things, called a conference at a palace at Hampton Court, which is just outside of London, and southwest side of London. It was a palace built by Henry VIII, and he had this Hampton Court conference in order to have the Puritans and the traditionalists figure out how to get along with each other. Well, so they had these debates, and it didn't go too well for the Puritans. But at the end of these debates, somebody one of the Puritans suggested, we need a new translation of the Bible. They wanted a new translation of the Bible because they didn't like the bishop's Bible that had been around. But James was actually on the side of the traditionalists, and he liked the idea of a new translation because he thought if we get a new translation, he could quiet these Puritans, who are the ones who wanted the translation. And so he agreed to the new translation, but thinking that this would be a way of promoting the cause of the traditionalists. And so he made it happen. There were 6 committees appointed.
Now, fuck him to take this
people
poll right
who taught
here.
at Oxford and Cambridge, the 2 universities in England at the time. They formed 6 committees, 2 of which met at Oxford, Cambridge, and then in London at Westminster. There are questions among scholars about how many people actually participated in the translation, but the best guess is that there were 47 translators who were all skilled, highly skilled, in Greek and Hebrew. Today, when somebody's highly skilled in Greek, like Jeff Syker and me, we're considered highly skilled in Greek. That means we can kind of slosh our way through a Greek text if we have a good dictionary sitting next to us. These guys, including King James, could speak Greek, and did speak Greek to each other when they felt like it. And they could read Hebrew like the newspaper. So these were serious scholars who, their excuse is they didn't have TV, there was no ESPN. What did they do? They sit around and studied Greek. I mean, this is what they did. And so they were in Latin and Hebrew and what. They had 6 committees in these places, and they started the translation. All of the people on these committees were church people. They were either Puritans or many of them were bishops or had some kind of connection, official connection with the church. It took them 7 years. It was finished in 1611. It was called the Authorized Version. In America, we call it the King James Bible. In England, they call it the Authorized Version, although authorized is a bit of a misnomer because the King James never really officially authorized the translation, and it was never authorized by an act of Parliament or anything else, but the people who translated it considered it to be authorized, so they call it the authorized version. One of the striking things about this authorized version, the King James Version, is just how much it is reliant on earlier translations, especially the translation of Tyndale. This reliance, in fact, is admitted by the translators. In the preface of the 1611 edition of the King James Bible, it says, "Truly good Christian reader, we never thought," this is the translators talking, "from the beginning that we should need to make a new translation, but to make a good translation better, or out of many good ones, make one principal good one. That hath been our endeavor." And so they're admitting that they're not, in fact, ignoring what the other translations have done. They're going to consult those as well as look at Hebrew and Greek. What they don't tell you is that they basically ripped off the Tyndale translation. So the reality is that the King James Version technically it's a revision of the Bishop's Bible.
You're shitting
The Bishop's Bible was a revision of the Great Bible, and the Great Bible was a revision of Tyndale. In the exhibit out here, in the exhibit in the room here where they've got the Bibles thing, one of the
I just shit in my pants.
telling exhibits is they have a passage from Matthew chapter 5 in the Tyndale Bible, in the Geneva Bible, and in the King James Bible. Just look at them and see how similar they are. The best guesstimates are that the King James Bible
I just shit in my pants.
reproduces Tyndale's words in 92% of the cases. 92% of the words are simply taken from Tyndale. So, people celebrate the King James as being the greatest.
Suck my dick, bitch. Stupid motherfucker. Kiss that fucking mouth, you slut.
It's a great classic in English literature.
God fucking damn it.
The genius goes back to Tyndale. And this isn't often enough acknowledged by people who celebrate King James, not realizing that in fact these translators had predecessors. I should say, by the way, that most of the Bibles that are used today, not most of the Bibles,
I see a dick in your future. I see a dick.
Was a revision of the 1952 Revised Standard Version that the guy took the blowtorch to. The Revised Standard Version was a revision of the 1901 American Standard Version, which was a revision of the 1881 Revised Version.
I'm fixing to stick my dick up your butt. My dick's fixing to come out of your mouth, puking cum. Close my dick in your fucking mouth.
One of the things people don't recognize is how
now fucking move this wall right here. So I can
and so
fucking you a king of the son of a bitch.
They ended up calling it the NRSV, but there were other options. The one that I really hoped to go for, that I thought they were going to go for, is that since it was the translation, it was a revision of the RSV, I was hoping they would go with the RSVP.
Come on, you slut. Would you please move, you son of a bitch?
And the many virtues of the King James Version, and there are indeed many virtues of the King James.
Please move, you fucking slut.
There are very, very memorable passages. Passages that people who
I'll put your god
know,
fucking damn black ass with stolen.
They just sound
Even if it is
they
white.
sound like the Bible. Let me give you some examples.
cunt.
Genesis chapter 1. This is from the King James. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. You know, you can argue that nobody's done it better than that. That is very good. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his
Now
name's sake.
fuck up and overlook this so I can stick my dick up your king's butt.
I will fear
Now
no
your
evil,
whore's ass.
for thou art with me.
Fucking
Thy
bitch.
rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And so on. Very familiar, very moving and powerful. Isaiah chapter 40, verses 3 to 5. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low. And the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. Moving to the New Testament. For example, the passage that's in the room over here, the Beatitudes from the Gospel of Matthew. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. And the last example, the Gospel of John, chapter 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light
Come on, you
shineth in
dick
the
sucker.
darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Well, these are very powerful ways of phrasing the biblical text. They're direct. They are rhetorically effective.
Come on, you fucking dick sucker.
The schemes of the scanning schemes work very well. They're just very moving and powerful. So the King James is for this reason.
Will you please move, you fucking goddamn dick sucker?
Language that people should read for the sake of the language, I think. There are not only memorable passages in the King James, there are memorable phrases that have become very common phrases in the English language. Genesis 4, am I my brother's keeper? Matthew 5, the salt of the earth. Matthew 18, where 2 or 3 are gathered together.
Jesus fucking Christ.
The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Luke 12, my favorite. Eat, drink, and be merry.
Jesus goddamn fucking Christ.
Romans 13, the powers that be. James 5, the patience of Job. Phrase after phrase, the King James has come into the English language.
Jesus goddamn fucking Christ.
In completely different context, just because they're such memorable phrases. The impact of the English language has been enormous. Many people argue that Shakespeare is the most influential individual on the English language, and I think that's probably right. If you look at the number of words Shakespeare introduced into the English language, it's some phenomenal number, and there's no doubt Shakespeare has
Jesus goddamn cunt fucking Christ.
But I would argue that William Tyndale is a close second. Because the King James Bible has made such an enormous impact on the English language and the way we speak the language, the way we understand the language, and it's getting a lot of these words from Tyndale. So in some respects, it's Tyndale who's making the King James Bible. And so there's no doubt that the King James Bible is one of the great literary productions of Western civilization. So I think that
Jesus fucking Christ movie. Jesus fucking Christ,
that's not
bitch.
to say that the King James Bible is without its problems. There are people today who think that the King James Bible is the only acceptable translation of the Bible. Now, most people who feel that way know nothing about the actual history and how the book was put together. And I would suggest that people who think that really should read up on the history of the King James Bible to see how it was put together. And one of the books on
Jesus goddamn fucking Christ.
That I have read is called by saying A Manifold Greatness. And it's a great little introduction to how the King James Bible came about. It would be worth reading if you want to see how the King James Bible was put together. There are problems with the King James Bible. In terms of its usability today by people who want to know what the biblical authors actually said. Now that's a different issue from, do you want to read great English classic? If you want to read great English classic, the King James Bible is the translation.
He's Googling this shit.
If you want to know what the biblical authors actually said, the King James Bible has some problems. And I wanted to detail what some of these problems are. There are actually 3 major problems that I'll talk about. One is changes in the English language since 1611 because the language has changed. Most of you who are older realize that English has changed a lot in your lifetime. When so as we learn from our students all the time. So when I started teaching, never mind, I do. The theological biases of the translators sometimes affected the way they translated the Bible. I'll give instances of all 3 of these. And third, the technical basis of translation is a problem. So I'll talk about all 3 of these. First, I'll start with changes in the English language since 1611. As it turns out, there have been a lot of changes over these 400 years. There are words found in the King James Bible that we simply don't use anymore. Here are some examples. Album, charge, chode, crackle. These are in the King James Bible. Gap, hammer, geon, Olsen, gab, meteor, yeast, nuisance, ouches, ring magistrate, sycamine, trout, and ripples. There are a lot more. And I bet you know what these words mean. What does all mean? I have no idea. I think we put it in apple pie. The King James has interesting choices about which animals they name. Okay, so the problem with animals in the Bible translators sometimes don't know how to translate certain words. I mean, modern, today, even 400 years later, we don't know how to translate some words in the Bible. Because you know it's talking about some kind of four-legged creature, and that's all you know. So what do you call it? Well, King James, so in the King James, you've got unicorns, and satyrs, and dragons, and cockatrices, and arrow snakes. The first four are legendary creatures, and the fifth doesn't exist. It's not even a legendary creature. Nobody knows what it is. Modern translations don't use those.
Come on, you goddamn motherfucker.
One of these words, that's a problem. Some phrases in the King James Bible no longer make sense. Ounces of gold, collops of fat, not fixed. Lean with, the ground is chapped, a brazen wall, rests thy face, and mirroring of the capital. So, you get words, you get phrases, you get sentences.
Jesus, goddamn cunt, fucking goddamn Christ.
Sod pottage. I think it means he was cooking stew. And Mount Sinai was all together on the snow. That sounds illegal. Thou shalt destroy them that speak leasing. Which sounds like something a real estate agent would be doing. We do to wit of the grace of God. My favorite is this one. You are not strengthened in us, but you are strengthened in your own bowels. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't sound good. He who lets will let, and then this incomprehensible. The words of the wise are as goads, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. Actually, this morning I looked at some other modern translations, Ecclesiastes 12. And they don't make sense either. This is one of those words probably doesn't make sense either. But in any case, it's impossible to know what they're talking about in the King James. Sometimes sentences do make sense, and then they change. I would cut off from Jeroboam him that pisseth against the wall. I looked this one up in Hebrew, and it's exactly what the Hebrew says. I would cut from Jeroboam, meaning the region of Jeroboam, I would cut off, I would kill anyone that urinates against the wall. That's what it says. So what it means is a man as opposed to a woman. And in King James time, they understood because men were still pissing against walls. But they did during this.
Him that pisses against the wall.
Modern translations have normally changed this to male as opposed to female. There are other changes in the language that are a little bit different from the ones I've been talking about. What I've been talking about so far are the changes that you don't know what the word really means. Well, the bigger problem is there are times when words in 1611 meant something different from what they mean today. And when you read the passage, you think you know what it means because the word makes sense, but they make the wrong sense. See what I mean? Because the meaning of the word has changed.
Stupid motherfucker.
So, for example, I remember when I was in my 20s, I heard somebody preach a sermon. I was in a church, and somebody preached a sermon on Philippians chapter 3, verse 20, for our conversation is in heaven. And the sermon was about how we should tell dirty jokes. Because the conversation is to be in heaven. And so you're not to use foul language, you're not to curse, your conversation is to be in heaven. Which makes sense from the King James. But it's not what it means. The word conversation in the 17th century is what we would use for the word something like citizenship. Your citizenship is in heaven. I mean, maybe it still means you should tell that joke, but it's not what it meant. Revelation 17:6. This is one of my favorites. So
I got myself 2 whores.
You know, Revelation is about this prophet has these visions, these bizarre, weird, scary visions. And in 17, he has one of the most bizarre. He sees a woman who the King James calls the whore of Babylon. The whore of Babylon is in the wilderness. She's seated on a beast. This beast has 7 heads and 10 horns.
I fucked his hoe, even though he was cheating. I stuck my dick up his butt and twisted.
It's this horrifying sight. And after he looked at her, he said, I saw her and I wondered with great admiration. Admiration in the 17th century meant astonishment or amazement. You know, he wasn't admiring her. It's sort of catching the door of the passage. Well, so, 2 Kings 11:1, Solomon loved many strange women. They made it strange. What it means is they were foreign. Non-Israelite women is what it means. Leviticus 14:10, the meat offering in Leviticus 10:14 is actually talking about the offering of grains, wheat and such. But, you know, calling meat sort of changes the point. And it has something to do with 1 Samuel 17, where Goliath carried a target on his shoulder. It means javelin. He's carrying a javelin on his shoulder.
Now fuck him and bring this poem right here.
It means come before
Fucking
you.
bitch.
Shall come before you. 1 Corinthians 10:24. Let no man seek his own, but every man have another's wealth. Which means well-being. That doesn't mean we're supposed to covet his money. His well-being. In Acts chapter 10, the Apostle Peter sees a sheet that is lowered from heaven that's filled with animals. And in the King James, it says that the sheet is knit at the 4 corners. And knit means to be let down. So it's not that it's a sheet that has knitting in corners, it's being let down. And Philippians 4:6, be careful for nothing. Doesn't mean to be careless. It means don't worry about anything. Okay, so in the sense of don't care. Don't be full of care. Don't worry about it. So anyway, there are hundreds of these you can come up with. But the problem with these, as I said, is when you read them, they seem to make sense, but they have a different sense in the way you take them today. And so it's a problem if what you want to do is know what the authors meant. Alright, so the other 2 problems in the text are the theological biases of the translators and the textual basis of the translation. So let's say something about the theological biases of the
God damn it.
Sometimes get in the way, got in the way of the translation, in my opinion. I'll give you just 2 examples of this. Daniel chapter 3:25. Daniel 3 is this famous story about these 3 Israelite men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who refused to worship a statue of the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego will not worship the statue because they're faithful to God. And they're not going to worship anyone except for God. But there's a law of the land. If anyone doesn't worship the statue of Nebuchadnezzar, they'll be thrown into a fiery furnace. And so they refuse. Nebuchadnezzar gets ticked off, and he has the furnace heated up 7 times its normal heat. They take Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they bind them, and they throw them in the furnace. And the furnace is so hot that it kills the people who throw them in. But then Nebuchadnezzar looks in the furnace, and he sees there's a 4th figure in there. And the King James says that he sees walking with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the Son of God. Now, of course, any Christian reader is going to read that and assume that Jesus is in there with them. But the Hebrew doesn't actually say the Son of God. It's not Hebrew, it's Aramaic at this point. It says a son of the gods, meaning some kind of angelic being. But it's not talking about the Son of God, Jesus. This is important Jesus into the Old Testament, which is a theological move. So you might want to interpret it that trilogy Jesus is there, but that's not what the text says. Okay? So you see what I mean? It's kind of subtle, but it doesn't matter. An even more important case is in the book of Isaiah, chapter 7, verse 14. So, this takes a little bit longer to unpack. So, the deal is this. Isaiah was a man living in the 8th century BCE who was a prophet who was a kind of advisor to King Ahaz. Ahaz. Who knows? King Ahab. And Ahab is upset because 2 foreign countries have attacked him. The northern country of Israel and the country of Syria have attacked Judah and have laid siege to Jerusalem. And Isaiah tells the king that he doesn't need to worry about these 2 kings that have attacked him because God's going to take care of the situation. And the king says, how do I know? And Isaiah says that God will give you a sign. A virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and you shall call him Emmanuel. That's the King James translation of it. And then he goes on to say, before the child is very old, he'll be able to eat honey and curds, and these 2 kingdoms will go back and not bother you anymore. Now, the point of this passage is that some woman's going to get pregnant, or is pregnant already, and is going to get burned. Before the child gets very old, the problem will pass away. Okay? But in the King James translation, it's translated, a virgin shall conceive. That gets quoted in the New Testament by the Gospel of Matthew as a reference to Jesus. A virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call him Emmanuel. In the book of Matthew, in the New Testament, quoting Isaiah chapter 7. Now, this is complicated, but when Matthew is quoting Isaiah, he's not quoting the Hebrew of Isaiah, he's quoting the ancient Greek translation of Isaiah, which does use the word virgin. But the Hebrew Bible, that is the base of the Greek translation and the King James Version, doesn't say virgin. In the Hebrew Bible, it says a young woman has conceived and will bear a son. The Hebrew word is alma, a young woman. It's not bethula, which means a virgin. And so there's nothing in this passage about the woman being a virgin. She's a young woman. And that makes perfect sense in the context of Isaiah. A young woman will conceive or has conceived, and by the time her son is old enough, these kings are going to disappear. Well,
now fuck up a pretty intro.
Influenced by the knowledge of the quotation of this passage in Matthew, and by their belief that Jesus was born of a virgin, and so they put it back onto Isaiah even though it wasn't originally there. See what I mean? So it's a bias of the translator that's affecting the translation. And so in most modern translations today, Isaiah 7:14 will be translated, a young woman will conceive or has conceived and will bear a son. Whereas in Matthew, it's translated virgin because that's the word used there. Alright, so that's a case where you're not really seeing what Isaiah has to say because the translator's bias has gotten in the way. Finally, the textual basis of translation. This is the third problem.